Hello, welcome. Seeing all these faces flashing on. It occurred to me today that I wanted to focus a little bit more about how attention really is love and what we have learned to associate with attention is what we have, meaning this kind of attention is love. So when you were little, if the kind of attention that you got was critical, that's what you come to associate with love. If you're getting a lot of criticism, there's that it kind of tweaks that button of, oh, this is what it means for me to be loved. If it came with control or neediness or ambiguity, so just take a moment and review in yourself the kind of attention that is familiar to you, was familiar to you to get as a child, maybe even really little. And it may be just the kind of how you think attention is, because it took me many years to realize that the kind of attention that I got as a kid, the kind of critical attention that I got, was what I began to expect. It was what I expected from Gay in the first part of our relationship, because that's just the kind of attention that I'd always gotten. So the kind of water that you've been swimming in, just kind of sample that for a moment and see what kind of qualities are kind of infused in the attention ocean that you've been getting. And here's the big news is that you can generate the kind of attention that you seek from others. So I'd like you to all now tune into what's the kind of attention that you think you can only get from other people. Like, for example, being valued or being included or having a kind of kindness. So you might be very critical with yourself, but you seek kind, gentle attention from others. So just evaluate that for yourself and let yourself do a little light fear melting while you're thinking about that. Do some wiggling or some love scooping or some sumo, where it's like, so the attention that is so familiar to me now, but used to be very mysterious, is what I would call me too, me too, I'm here too, of, like, and it had a sense of including, like I'm not being included, or I'm afraid I'm not going to be included. So check in, and when you're looking out and wanting attention, what's the kind that you expect and what's the kind that you want? And that can be a very big question. So you may not get all of the answers to that right now, but that I think is such a valuable question. And when you're thinking about that, notice how that affects your energy and your body, your sense of your wholeness, your sense of whether you feel your reservoir full or more going more on empty. Is it more toward your fuel center is full or your fuel center is empty? And then I'd like you to let yourself think about what qualities of attention would you like to be generating? So the ones that you seek out there, I'd like you to let yourself be giving to you. So I'd like you to think of somebody who has that quality of attention. It might be loving or including or generous or curious. And I'd like you to think of that person and think of that quality. And I'd like you to see if you would be willing to generate that, like your own bubbling fountain, your own internal bubbling fountain that bubbles that quality. So just as you think of somebody that you know you love, and then you get that feeling of loving and give it to yourself, let yourself think of one quality of attention that you think is out there. So for me, I'm going to focus on curious. And so curious, I want to generate that in myself. I can generate that by creating a So if you're interested in creating curious, you can use the And then I'm going to use my love scoops to give myself curious attention. So that when I'm scooping in, I feel that, what's going on under my touch? And then scooping curious and letting that curiosity come to any part of my body. Scooping, and then curious, I can let curious kind of bubble up and then let that come in my loop as I'm looping outward. I can get curious about something that's right around me, or I can get curious about something that's outside of the room that I'm in. But it's sending my attention infused with some curiosity. So the and that's a very valuable one, generating curious attention. So generating curious out there and then love scooping it into you and then letting it rest for a minute, letting yourself just be with that curious attention. So being versus doing. Doing is how most of us have learned how to get value and learned how to get attention. Look what I did. I took care of this thing. Oh, so that what if you could get attention simply for being? So I'd like you to choose another quality of attention. So I wrote down a couple of them when I was thinking about this. So there's kind, there's generous, there's funny, there's valuing. So choose one of them or one that bubbles up for you. And first let yourself, in fact, I'm going to stand for this one and I invite you to move your body in a kind of a different way so that I'm going to do whatever I can do to generate that quality inside myself. So kindness, for me, that comes with being gentle. So I'm going to generate a kind of a gentle touch. I can also do my fear melters gently. I can do oozing gently. I can do some gentle wiggles. I can definitely do a gentle love scoop. I can bring in that feeling of gentleness. And then the other aspect of that is letting yourself receive. So you can generate that, and do you let yourself receive that attention? Because we get so addicted to the kind of attention that we had as kids that we keep generating that in our present life, like being critical or being judgmental. So I'd like you to then think about somebody in your life with whom you've been having a little bit of a rant. There's been a little bit of a tangle or a disconnect or just outright judgment, like they're just doing it wrong. When are they going to shape up? And I'd like you to notice the body sensation of having that jangle. And then I'd like you to generate that quality of attention that you would like to enjoy. For me, it's a kind of a tenderness, gentleness. And I'm going to generate that and first give it to me. When I do that, I can feel my whole body. My whole body takes it like a big out breath and settles. And then I'd like you to see if you'd be willing to give that quality to the jangly person. If you'd be willing to give that quality of attention and let it move out and around that person, make a kind of a gentle mixing bowl where you're creating a new recipe for this person. So coming back to you and giving it to you, that sense of gentleness, and feel any place in your body too where it's going like me. So I could feel it in my shoulders, which is where I tend to get, both fighty but also judgy. I get in my shoulders like, you're doing it wrong. So I'm going to give some gentleness to me, because I'm also realizing, and I want you to realize, that those qualities of attention that feel disconnected, those just have fear woven in. So as you're releasing the fear, whether that's fighty or fleey or fainty or frozen, as you begin to release that, notice that you have more room to receive attention, more room to receive the kind of attention that you're choosing. Yeah, beautiful. So even though it may seem sort of awkward or strange, I'd like you to let yourself continue circulating attention with that quality. You can bring it back around you and then out around that other person, back around you. And you could let it land someplace in you, like land on your shoulders in the anger zone, or in your chest in the sadness zone, if there's some sadness connected with this person, or in your belly, around your belly button, if there's some fear, which there almost always is. There's fear associated, and letting it land. And what just came to me is patting. It's one of the kinds of touches that, Gabe will come by and he'll pat me. And I just love that. I suppose I probably did not get patted as a kid, but that gentle patting for me just feels so comforting and lovely. So if you have a kind of touch that you really enjoy, but you don't give to yourself, let's include that with your loop of awareness. And I'd like you to imagine your tender or your kind or your funny attention actually touching this person that you've been having the jangles with, and imagine it landing. And then they're responsible for however they deal with that attention. But I have actually found that I can send my attention over space, so I don't have to be in the same room with somebody. And they don't even have to know. I bet you if you had contact with that person, they'd say, I suddenly in the morning, I just started feeling lighter. And that black cloud sort of started to lift. So you can be both increasing your loving attention and also giving that to people with whom you don't even totally agree. So let yourself now find a different pace, maybe a little slower, maybe a little bit more rhythmic, where you're sharing that quality of attention. I'm feeling a lot more energy. I almost got a little swoony there for a moment because I was getting so much more energy than my morning body. It may not be morning where you are, but since it's morning where I am, it's adding to my wake up. And I'm also wanting to give some attention to the back of my body. We're so facing front. So notice if there's any part of the back of your body that wants that quality of attention. So love scoops and attention are really an expression of presence, which is an expression of love. And you can generate the kind of attention that you want to be experiencing and be the source of that, be the fountaining of that. And my feet just said, what about me? Just what about me? Hey. So my feet are going, they're wanting to have a little You know, they're having their own little dance. There's this wonderful little short video that I was seeing on Facebook of some exotic bird that's going, he's doing this little dance with his feet going. So see if you can find a different rhythm in you that would be enjoyable, but also maybe a little new for you. It could be a little, or a little like our girls do, flopsies, where they just fall over. So if there's a part of you that's going, hey, me, give attention to me. If you can feel any falling over part of you, just give a little bit more loving attention. And some out there, and you probably have already now connected and resolved that tangle. So let your love go out as far as you want and come in as deeply into you. And far out there and deeply into you. Beauteous. Thank you. Thank you so much. So for those of you who are planning on joining us tomorrow morning, Pacific time is our reweaving. Very excited. And for those of you who are not, I look forward to seeing you next Monday in our Loops and Scoops. And I'm going to leave now. And if you would like to stay and connect some more, please feel free to. You can unmute yourself if you want to go any woohoo to people. Yeah, thank you. Bye now.
Bye, Katie.
Thank you.
Ah.
Bye, thank you.